Personality traits are often labeled psychopathic these days. The word is thrown around loosely when describing exes or bosses, but what facts are really behind these popular diagnoses? Not all psychopaths are criminals like Manson or Hitler. Some psychopathic traits can help to forge success, but those aren't the interesting parts of psychopathy. If you're wondering if you're a psychopath or just confident, then keep on watching to find out. Now, before we dive into these 15 signs you might be a psychopath, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell because we are always uploading interesting and informative videos like this one. Your subscription helps us to thrive as a channel, so we can send some more content your way. Number 1. Confidence is key. And we're not talking about normal levels. Psychopaths have another level of confidence, often unwavering overconfidence that, despite the facts, remains in place. Dr. Silvina Galperin is a clinical and counseling psychologist at Vaughan at CBT Psychology for Personal Development. According to her, a psychopath often has a sense of entitlement and adopts a superior attitude toward others, to whom they consider inferior to them. One thing psychopaths leverage is the fact that humans flock to confident people. Just look at the success confident people have, even if they don't have the goods to back it up. Elizabeth Holmes? Number 2. You can charm the birds out of a tree. This confidence comes with oodles of suaveness. Charm that's almost hypnotic. The problem is that it's not all genuine. Dr. Galperin weighs in again. They appear friendly and nice, but all the charm is superficial. This charm is just part of the show to gain adoration to achieve what they're there to achieve. If you're able to turn on and off the charm like a tap when you want something, then you might be a psychopath. Number 3. You are impulsive. If you take spontaneous to another level, then you might be displaying traits of a psychopath. They're well known for leap-before-you-look behavior that doesn't have a lot of thought put into it. It's the thrill-seeking behavior with no fear of the consequences that can be a telltale sign you're in the danger zone of psychopathy. You might find that your life would have a lot less drama if you could get your impulses under control. Number 4. Lying is second nature to you. Along with the crazy behavior comes having to duck and dive from the truth. Of course, this makes sense that you'll have to come up with some alternative facts when you spend your rent money on a wild night out. After a while, you struggle to remember the true facts because you're so convincing in the lie that you even fool yourself. And is it really possible to take a test to know if you're a psychopath? Stick around, we've got some interesting intel. Number 5. Emotions feel like a foreign concept. You understand that emotions happen, but you just don't quite get them. Why anyone would feel devastated over your comment on their outfit, or why you would be overjoyed at the news of someone else's baby. Psychopaths can discern emotions and know them on an intellectual level, but the only way they come into their lives is for gain. Guilt trips, flattery, declaring themselves as victims, these are all excellent ways for psychopaths to manipulate people to get what they want. Number 6. Sorry ain't a thing. If you found Welsh town names easier to say than a simple sorry, well, you might be in psychopath territory. Psychopaths don't apologize. This stems from a disregard for personal responsibility, but we'll get into that later. What is most interesting is that psychopaths will happily rap off a lengthy justification of their actions, but don't hold your breath for an apology. If backed into a corner, psychopaths might offer a smirky sorry or defend further with a sorry you're so sensitive type of remark. Which brings us to our next point. Number 7. You can't empathize with other people. Okay, back to the feelings. As well as being unable to have any true emotions of their own, psychopaths often think other people have way too many emotions and are weak because of it. Psychopaths won't share someone's joy about a promotion or their sorrow over a breakup. Of course, there's always an exception, and in this case, the exception is that psychopaths will not acknowledge emotions if there's something in it for them, but more on that in a bit. Number 8. You don't respect rules or the law. We're sure by now you've realized that psychopaths don't fall into the rule followers category. This behavior is antisocial, which doesn't equal introvert. Dr. Prakash Masand, a psychiatrist and founder of the Centers of Psychiatric Excellence, explains it better. When we say antisocial in ASPD, it means someone who goes against society, rules, and other behaviors that are more commonplace. Trying to curb the actions of a psychopath by appealing to rule following is kinda like trying to catch a rainbow. Number 9. You find it hard to tell right from wrong. Along with the idea that rules are flexible, psychopaths feel like there's more gray between right and wrong than black and white. They might justify an affair because of an unhappy marriage, or stealing something because someone left it lying around. Basically, if you can always find a reason to bend the rules or find a way around the law, you're in the psychopath camp. Look, we'll be honest. If you're finding that these are speaking about you, you can change. Watch our video, 15 Steps to Build Trust and Keep It, where our viewers have said, other than my family, I trust your channel the most. And use our advice to build up your reputation once again. Number 10. You're good at controlling people. We mentioned before that psychopaths are only interested in other people's emotions when it's in their favor. That's because psychopaths have unlocked the superpower of using emotions to control people. From charming them with flattery or guilting them with another sob story when they're the victim, psychopaths are inherently good at controlling people to do their bidding. Number 11. You get bored easily. It's hard to really wow a psychopath. If you bore easily and aren't easily impressed, this could be a psychopathic trait. These impulse junkies need constant dopamine hits and outside stimulation to satiate their need for pleasure. According to recoveryways.com, by some estimates, 90% of people with antisocial personality disorder will also develop a substance use disorder. Unfortunately, those people are also least likely to seek help, and when they do enter treatment, they rarely complete it. Ironically, you know what does get boring fast? Drug addiction. Number 12. You always have an excuse. How often do you hear yourself say, "It's not my fault because," and then deviate the blame to someone or something else as long as it's not you? If you find yourself always concocting an excuse, then maybe you might be displaying some psychopathic traits. More about where these excuses come from coming up. Number 13. Your relationships are kinda shallow. If you believe that people are purely for a reason or a season, then you might be a psychopath. If you think of people more as placeholders than persons of interest and affection, then you're missing out on the deep relationships everyone else experiences. Aluxers, if you want to blow your mind, we strongly encourage you to listen to The Wisdom of Psychopaths, What Saints, Spies, and Serial Killers Can Teach Us About Success. It's written by Kevin Dutton, and if you go to Audible, we have a free download for you at Alux.com/freebook. Number 14. You're irresponsible. When you don't take responsibility, it's easy to be irresponsible. Why look after your equipment, others, or yourself if you see everything as replaceable? Psychopaths find it easier to take what they want and hurt people and property in the process because they don't feel bad about it. They feel like people who don't act like they do are just saps. Number 15. It's never your fault. The main reason that psychopaths find it easy to lie, dodge the rules, or come up with an excuse is they don't know how to take responsibility. They don't feel bad about passing the blame, but they will also never give up an opportunity to take the credit for something, whether they deserve it or not. Whatever the situation, they can't take responsibility for their mistakes if they don't see them. The irony of this is that just based on this very fact, hardly any psychopaths will actually recognize themselves in these traits. So Aluxers, who do you see as the most successful psychopath in history, and why? Share with us in the comments. And of course, you stuck with us until the end. Here's your bonus. In 2011, NPR sat down with the men behind the original psychotest. The OG PCLR, or Psychopathy Checklist Revised, was created by Canadian psychologist Robert Hare. Hare set up a lab and began studying prisoners from the 1960s. The final test was composed. It's a list of 20 traits that are scored 0, 1, or 2 depending on the person's degree of the trait. This was just an academic tool. Robert Hare never intended it to be used as a test to diagnose, or worse, to keep them locked up in jail, as was done by the US criminal justice system. Sadly, the test leaked and has become the gold standard for testing for psychopaths. Yep, that's right, it's still the most widely used tool for labeling someone criminal or not as a psychopath. 20 questions tested on prisoners in the 1970s.